It hit me like a punch to the gut when my wife, Elaine, confided in me on a sweltering summer Saturday morning that she intended to get even. Her voice was steady, but there was fire in her eyes, a fire I hadn't seen in a long time. She was furious about the so-called flirtation I had engaged in at last weekend's party. The accusation felt unfair. I had never touched another woman, never crossed any real boundaries. I had merely exchanged a few words, maybe a few laughs, with Gloria, a woman who just happened to be Elaine's high school rival. And yet, despite our 5 years of marriage, Elaine had decided that I needed a lesson. It didn't matter that the exchange had been brief, 5 minutes at most. It didn't matter that, from my perspective, it had been harmless. What mattered was that Gloria had always been a thorn in Elaine's side. In high school, Gloria had outshone her, stronger, more confident, always one step ahead. And now, years later, Elaine was convinced that Gloria was trying to steal me away. "I think she's after my husband now that hers ran off," Elaine had shouted on the drive home that night, her hands gripping the wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Well, I'm not gonna let that happen. You're my husband. You belong to me." I had tried to soothe her. "Elaine, I agree with you," I said, keeping my voice even. "I only talked to her for a few minutes." "Sure," we joked around, "but I didn't say or do anything I wouldn't have if you had been standing right beside me." Elaine wasn't having it. "Did you notice how she kept touching your arm? How she twirled her hair around her finger? She was signaling you, Eric. And you let her." I shook my head. "You're making this into something it wasn't. She wasn't signaling me. She was just tipsy and being playful. That's all." "Right. And I suppose she didn't ask you to fix something at her house so you'd have an excuse to go over there and screw her?" "What? No." My patience was thinning. "We didn't talk about anything like that. I have no intention of going to her house or doing anything inappropriate with Gloria. Why are you accusing me of this?" Elaine narrowed her eyes. "Because you didn't do anything. You didn't tell her to stop. You didn't shut her down. You just let it happen." And so, the argument dragged on for days, neither of us willing to back down. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong, but Elaine saw things differently. Had I flirted a little? Maybe. But it had been nothing serious. Just some harmless banter while Gloria, slightly drunk, rambled on about penetrating the market and enlightening her boss at the marketing firm where she worked. When I realized she was getting too comfortable, I quickly pulled back, making up an excuse to walk away. I wasn't about to be tempted, and I certainly wasn't about to disrespect my wife. But Elaine was beyond reasoning. That morning, she made her decision. "We're going dancing tonight," she declared, arms crossed. "And I'm going to flirt with every single guy there. Let's see how you like it." I sighed. "I'm not going to like it. So I'm not going." She exploded. "If you don't come, I'll go alone. And I'll bring a man home. Right in front of you. See how that feels." My stomach twisted. "Elaine, if you do that, I swear I'll throw you out. That's blatant disrespect, and I won't stand for it." She scoffed. "You think what you did wasn't disrespectful? You flirted with Gloria. Gloria, of all people. If you can do it, so can I." "That's ridiculous. I didn't do anything serious." Elaine's voice dripped with sarcasm. "Oh, please. She practically asked you to bend her over the couch and have sex with her in front of everyone." She crossed her arms. "Tonight, I'm going to find a man, and I'm bringing him here." "You're already disrespecting me, Elaine," I said, my voice rising now. "And you know what? I don't think you could find a man dumb enough to walk into my house and flirt with you. Not even if you threw yourself at him." Elaine's eyes widened, her chin lifting defiantly. "Oh, I'll find one. And you can't stop me. Plenty of men would love a shot at me, especially if it means rubbing it in your face." With that, she stormed out of the room. I stood there, my jaw tight, my mind racing. I knew Elaine. Knew her well enough to realize she wasn't bluffing. And in our tiny town, where everybody knew everybody, there was only one man cocky enough to take her up on her challenge. Woody Floyd. My old high school rival. Back then, Woody had been the only guy who could match me in strength, in size, in sheer determination. While I had stayed in peak shape over the years, Woody had traded his fitness for a different kind of weightlifting, the 12-ounce kind, found at the bottom of a beer bottle. And there was no doubt in my mind where Elaine would go to find him. Rainbow's End Bar and Grill. I spent the afternoon going through my usual Saturday routine, mowing the lawn, tinkering in the garage, but all the while I was preparing for the inevitable. Because if Elaine was stupid enough to walk into that bar, if she was reckless enough to throw herself at Woody, I knew exactly how this night was going to end. And it wouldn't be pretty. At sunset, Elaine emerged from the bedroom, dressed to kill. A tight, shimmering dress hugged her figure, her makeup flawless, her hair cascading over her shoulders. She was making a show of it, checking her purse, fidgeting with her keys, waiting for me to react. I took a deep breath. "Elaine, I owe you an apology. I shouldn't have said what I did earlier." Her lips curled into a smirk. "Too late, asshole." She turned for the door. "I'm going on a date," she said over her shoulder. "I'm bringing home a real man tonight. And if I have to sleep with him to prove my point, so be it." I clenched my fists. "Elaine, don't do this." "You started it," she spat. And then she was gone. "Openly flirting with that slut, Gloria. That's your punishment so you won't do it again. It's the only way I can make you realize what you've done." She grabbed her keys and headed for the garage door. As she said goodbye, she tossed over her shoulder, I'd say, "Don't wait up for me," but that would ruin my plans. She laughed and slammed the door in my face. I opened the door and called after her, "If you bring another man into my house, you won't like what happens." She flipped me off as she got into her car and drove off, to a bar, I assumed. I grabbed a quick bite to eat and put my plan into motion. 30 minutes later, I called my friend Stan, a regular at Rainbow's End, to confirm what I already suspected. "Yep," he said. "Elaine's been hanging around Woody since she walked in. They danced, got a little handsy, but she hasn't let him go too far, though he's tried. They were making a scene, ensuring everyone saw them together. I didn't like it, but I expected it. Now it was time for the next phase of my plan." Just after 10:30, Elaine and Woody stumbled into the house, laughing loudly, having shouted their affection for each other in the front yard for all the neighbors to witness. I sat calmly in my chair, spreading out the newspaper as I heard them approach the door. Elaine made sure I knew she was home. From the corner of my eye, I saw Woody's arm wrapped around her, pulling her close. "Hey, loser," Woody sneered. "Elaine and I had a great time tonight. You should have seen us, dancing till we dropped. She's got amazing moves. I love when she snuggles up to me." He grinned. "And now she's telling me I can sleep with her in your bed. She made my night. I can't wait to see her naked." Of course, I've already felt her up, so I have a good idea of what's in store. I remained calm. "No, Woody. You don't understand." He scoffed. "Oh, I think I do. That's always been one of your biggest problems, Eric. You don't think. Right, Elaine?" Elaine smirked. "Let me get this straight," I said. "You two walk into my house, tell me my wife is going to sleep with another man in my bed, and you think I'll just let that happen?" "You don't have the muscle or the balls to stop me," Woody taunted. "Come on, get out of that chair. Elaine and I will swear it was self-defense when the cops come. And in the meantime, I'll kick your ass from here to the city. While you're in jail, I'll be sleeping with your wife every night. It's a win-win for us. So, come on, try and stop us, asshole. I didn't move. You two are not going anywhere near my bedroom tonight. Elaine smirked. And how exactly are you going to stop us? In a word, I said. Dames. At my signal, the door burst open. Elaine's mother and sister stormed into the room, descending on her with accusations. How could you do this to a good man like Eric? I thought I raised you better than this. Woody paled as his own wife and mother-in-law appeared behind them, their expressions murderous. He yanked his hand away from Elaine like she was contagious. The women pounced, their fury raining down like a mob of Black Friday shoppers fighting over the last deal. I hid behind my newspaper, trying not to laugh, but my shaking hands probably gave me away. After 20 minutes of relentless scolding, Woody's mother-in-law grabbed him by the ear and dragged him to the front door, his wife following close behind. Looks like he'll be spending some quality time with Rosie Palm and her 5 sisters, I muttered under my breath. Elaine's mom, Carol, and her sister, and kept up their tirade for another 10 minutes. Elaine, now curled up at the edge of the couch, looked like she wished the earth would swallow her whole, and crossed her arms. And all this because he flirted with Gloria Green for 5 minutes? Seriously? You're a bigger flirt than he is. I was at that party. I saw the whole thing. Eric didn't do anything wrong. He even ran away from her. She shook her head in disgust. You stupid cow. The room fell silent. Finally, Carol sighed. We should go. You two need to sort this out. I nodded. Can you take her with you? Just for a few days? I don't trust myself around her right now. Carol met my gaze, understanding. I get it, Eric. But if you're going to work this out, she needs to stay. Besides, if you were the type to resort to violence, you wouldn't have called us. She's safe here. Yeah, but what about my safety? I joked, winking at Carol. She smiled. You'll survive. Unlike my daughter if she ever tries this again. With a final hug, and a lingering one from and they left. I sat back and turned on the TV. From the other end of the couch, a meek voice spoke. I can't believe you called my mother. I smirked. All's fair in love and war. And this is both. I stood up. You should use the guest bedroom tonight. Good night, Elaine.